outside. And then you can go push this on that side. And tighten this down a little bit. This is the longest part, hopefully. I hope you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so we have everything lined up. We have the large drift on the inside, just the inside. The bolt is supported by just this arm, just this side. And I'm going to make sure my bearing is good and lined up, which it is. My drift is lined up. I've greased it. So we should be good to go. So let's see if we can get this to push in. I'm finger holding it on the other side. And I'm just turning this thing nice and easy until it stops. It's right there. Okay, little tension. So now back it out. There we go. Don't like to press too hard. There are bearings, but you want to press thoroughly in. Okay, so now take that out. Ready for the other side. You just have to take this out. You might need to, if you have a bearing there, take this all the way out. Okay, so again, same process. We won't forget to grease the inside of where our bearing sits. A little sloppy with the grease. It's okay, we can wipe up any extra. So we have our inside greased up. Okay, and now we want to get our bearing press in there. So we'll put our press, again, we'll do the wider side on the inside this time. Yep, same side, same way we did it, just for better support. And of course, we're going to do our nut on one side. Just enough where we can hold it. Okay, now we get our bearing. Drop that in first, then our drift, then our large one on the inside, large there, to press on that. It gives us the best support on that drift. Then our nut goes on. Hopefully you guys can see this. It looks a little dark on my screen. But when you get down to here, make sure everything's lined up nicely. Better to go slow. When in doubt, stop for a second. Take another look at it. So we have our bearing here, our drift, our large press or drift, and our nut, which we're going to tighten up. Okay, let's see if we can go with this. Is it nice and smooth? Okay, good to go. Take that out. We'll take the one side out. Pretty much you only have to take the inside out. I took both out. Okay. All right. Voila. Okay, so about 15 minutes, not even, give or take, you've got yourself brand new bearings in your upper link. All right, this is Sean. If you like the channel, if you like these videos, how we do the Santa Cruz, keeping that up to speed there, think about subscribing, like this video if you liked it, and we'll see you soon. All right, bye. All right, we're back here with our upper link, and we need to get our bearings in there, our new bearings in there. So we're going to need a few tools. One hammer. No, actually no hammer this time. That's for extracting. We need a couple adjustable wrenches. And we need our press. No drift here except for these 2 drifts. We'll use that. And of course we need our bearings, which we're going to need our spacer for our large one. And then we don't need a spacer for the 2 small ones. So we're going to do our large ones first. So we're going to get everything lined up. So don't forget the spacer. We've done that before. So I'm going to get my 2 bearings lined up and my spacer. And they're going to go in here in the upper part. So actually, this is the lower part, sorry. So we're going to get our press ready. And we're also going to lube the inside of where the bearing sits. So just so enough lube to let it slide through with less ease, and also hopefully help us to remove the bearings when we need to. So just enough so that we can slide those bearings in. Okay, a little too much there. Okay, all right, a little on the inside. All right, and I like to lube both sides, obviously, so don't forget to lube both sides. Be sure to do that. We'll get our press a little greasy, but that's okay. It's better than forgetting to lube it. All right, so let's take a look now. What we can do is we're going to put our press in the one side, and we need to start with, I do 1 bearing at a time. So we're going to put this on the one side of the open part of the link, and then we're going to put our bearing in there. We don't need our spacer in just yet. Okay, because we'll get it in on the other side. And we'll line it up. Make sure it's good and straight. And it's going to go in straight. Okay. Get that a little bit better. Okay, and then we've got our other drift, which we're going to put the small side in the middle to keep it lined up, keep everything straight. Fits perfectly. This was from Santa Cruz, and they do fit pretty much all the large bearings perfectly. Okay, so we'll get this good and tight. Usually if you get it tight to begin with, then you don't necessarily need 2 adjustable wrenches. So we'll get our large adjustable wrench in here. It's a little larger than what we need. We're going to slowly go and make sure that the bearing's going in straight. Good to go slow. And go to where it stops. Right there. Okay, and then we're going to back out our nut. Take out our bolt and our press. Well, our drift, I should say. All right, great. So we have the bearing on the one side. Now what we're going to do is make sure, don't forget to drop your spacer in. Okay, and then your bearing. So you want everything lined up. Make sure you got decent lube on the inside. And then do same thing on this side. Now you want to line everything up coming up the other side. So the good thing is that drift is going to push on the outside of that bearing, so that's okay. And I've got everything pretty much supported there. It's got a spacer in the middle. And we have our bearing we're going to line up. And it should pretty much self-align too. So with our drift. So we can see that bearing is right here. There's our drift. And we're just going to tighten our nut up. Good and tight. So again, pretty much can finger tight this one side. And remember, go slow. Go slow. Go till it stops. Okay. Then you can back it out. Sometimes we need it just for rinse when we're backing it out. But anyway, we've got it. Okay, so check your bearings. Make sure they're well seated. They're fully in. They feel good. Good. All right, so now we're ready for the small bearings now too. So we're going to use that same press. Remember, we're going to use my drift so they line up my bearings well. So we're going to get our 2 bearings out. So there are 2 small bearings. Now, you never want to go across and press and support on the other side. You want to just press it between the middle. So you do have to do a little bit of setting up with your tool, okay? And it gets a little tricky. Sometimes what I like to do is I'll just put the drift on through the middle. So I'll just put my bolt through the middle. And I want to do this carefully on this down here so I don't scratch anything up. And I'm going to support it in the middle. Or basically, not in the middle, on the one arm. Okay, so I just have to put this down, get the nut in. And I'm using the thick side because that's going to hold on that one. I don't know if you see what I'm doing here with the drift. It's basically, I put the small end outward so that I can rest it up against there. And then I can just tighten that like that. Okay, so now what I have to do is drop my bearing in there, but actually, to say, I forgot to grease it. So I need to make sure I get a little grease on there as well, so we don't want to ever do that. So I pretty much can get some grease in. Just so that we always have a greased bearing. Well, at least the edges are greased so we can get it out. Okay, oops, there we go. So make sure our inside's good and greased. And we can put our press back in. And our bearing is going to go right in there. And then our drift to match up with our bearing.